So in today's lesson, I'm going to be introducing you to enzymes. I'm going to explain to you what an enzyme is and what its function is in terms of digestion. So, when we eat food, when we take in nutrients, what the digestive system does is it breaks our food down. So it takes those really large macromolecules that we talked about, the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids, and breaks them into smaller pieces. So it's sort of like if you had a Lego house, that's like the food, and then your body takes it and makes it into little itty bitty pieces. And so why would your body want to do that? Well, what your body does is it takes those Lego pieces and it rebuilds them into other things. So some of those other things might be, for instance, muscle. It could be, used to the energy that's released when there's the breakdown of your food. There's some energy that's released. Maybe that energy is used to help take those pieces and build them into new things like new skin cells and so on and so forth, right? So why do they need to be broken down into small pieces? Why can't our body just sort of take this and then use that? Well, the digestive tract takes food and breaks it down so that it can be absorbed into the small intestines and thereby get used by ourselves. Mostly it's the energy that we harness from the breakdown of food, and then those food pieces, if they're useful to us, then they stay with us, and then we reassemble them into something new. So the process, the reaction that's going to cause that to happen, the disassembling of our large macromolecules into little bitty pieces, is called hydrolysis. And so you can see the prefix there, hydro, meaning water, and lysis means to break down. And so I want you to think about, I'm going to use the example yesterday that we saw where we had a protein. And so proteins are basically just amino acids that are joined together and forming a polypeptide because of the peptide bonds that are joining them. So here's an amino acid, here's an amino acid, here's another amino acid, right? So when you eat something like that is high in protein, like say a chicken breast, then your body's going to need to break that down, right? The goal of in digestion is for those amino acids to be broken down. At least that's one stage of digestion, and further digestion can also occur. But in that process, the thing that helps to break those peptide bonds down is water, hence the hydrolysis. So by adding water into the mix, H2O, that water is able to separate and break apart those peptide bonds and therefore liberate the individual subunits into their own pieces. Now, that's not to say that this won't, that we're done here. Often the amino acids have to go through other processing as well to be broken down further. But the reaction that's going to break these large macromolecules, those nutrients we talked about, that's going to happen via the process of hydrolysis. And we will go into great detail about that in the grade 12 course. Now, remember, the title of this section is enzymes. And so why is an enzyme a part of this? Why am I talking about hydrolysis? Because those hydrolysis reactions typically won't happen at all unless there's a presence of this thing called an enzyme. So an enzyme, I'm putting it over my reaction arrow, and that's to indicate that it's neither a product nor a reactant, right? It is recycled. So I want you to think about your knowledge of chemistry. What do you know about something? What do we call a species that is neither a reactant or a product and that goes over a reaction arrow? Well, I'm hoping you're thinking about a catalyst. And that's what an enzyme is. An enzyme is a special type of protein molecule that is a biological catalyst, and its job is to make reactions happen at a rate other than they would normally occur. So in biological systems, an enzyme is a species that is going to help usually speed up that breakdown process. Now, we're going to be able to recognize an enzyme one way, although there are exceptions to this. Often the name of the enzyme will end with an ASE, and that will help to let you know that, in fact, that is an enzyme. let's take a look at some examples of enzymes that are associated with the digestion process. So the first type of digestive enzyme that I want to talk about is the carbohydrase. And you can tell from the name carbohydrase that it looks a lot like carbohydrate, but it has that A's ending. And that A's ending lets us know that it's an enzyme that will break down carbohydrates, right? So one example of that would be a carbohydrate responsible for taking something like a starch, a polysaccharide, made up of several monosaccharides linked together. And we add in a little bit of water, there's that hydrolysis. And with the help of our carbohydrates, we're able to break it down into individual subunits. And that way it's small enough that it can be absorbed by the lining of our small intestine. Right? Or it could simply be a disaccharide like sucrose, right? So sucrose is still two individual monosaccharides that are joined, and those need to be broken down into monosaccharides before we can absorb them. So a good example of this would be, and then this carbohydrates, I should let you know, is a very generic name for an enzyme associated with hydrolyzing a sugar. But there are some specific ones, and a good example of that would be maltase, right? So maltase is an enzyme that breaks down maltose. And so we would have maltose, which you may remember from yesterday, is a disaccharide that basically is two glucose molecules joined together. And by taking maltase, you're able to break that down into just the two glucose that I was talking about, the two monosaccharides. And then that is really great for our cells to use, and it's in a great format to be absorbed by our body. So that's just one example, and next year in grade 12 we'll talk about others. So next I want to talk about lipases. So lipases, you can see how there's the prefix lip indicating lipids, right? So a lipase is an enzyme that will break down lipids in some way. And of course it depends on what the lipid is, but one type of lipase is one that would take one of our triglycerides, which was the glycerol molecule, and some fatty acids, and break it down into its individual subunits just so that they can be better utilized by our body. So that's what a lipase does. In grade 12 biology, we'll learn about, well, what happens to those glycerol and fatty acids once they've been broken down by the lipase. How does the body deal with that? That's a topic for the grade 12 biochemistry unit. So I want you to pause the video and take a minute to think about, well, what might the other names of the enzymes be that are associated with our nutrient groups? Well, I'm hoping one of them that you mentioned would have sounded something like protease. So you can see there the prefix prot meaning protein, and then ase for the enzyme. So a protease is the general name, the generic name that we give to an enzyme that is going to be responsible for breaking down proteins into amino acids. And we're going to be getting into some specifics a little bit later on in this unit even. Okay, so let's think about, what is a protease going to be doing? Well, in yesterday's lesson, we looked at polypeptides or proteins. There's our amino acids. We hydrolyze it, and we add in some protease, and there are different types of them. So, for example, we have pepsin, and pepsin is found in the stomach and helps to break down our proteins into individual amino acids. So, and then those amino acids, again, as I mentioned in grade 12, we're going to talk about, what happens to the amino acids once they're broken down by the proteases. So proteases, what type of molecule or enzyme are we going to have that will break down our nucleic acids? Nuclease, that's what a nuclease is. And so we're eating material that might potentially have cells, and if it has a cell, it will have DNA and RNA in it. And so when we eat food, we by default are going to be consuming some nucleic acids, right? And we know the building blocks of our nucleic acids are we have the sugars and the phosphates, and we have our nitrogenous bases. And so a nuclease is an enzyme that will take our nucleic acid, in this case it looks like it's a DNA molecule, and break it down into nucleotides. And so, anything that has nitrogen in it, like our proteins and our nucleic acids, will have nitrogen in them. Then that gets managed by our body because nitrogen our body wants to dispose of, and that's how our urinary system will work. So there we have it. Those are our 4 digestive enzymes. And so enzymes are going to be, of course, really, really important in the process of digestion to start to break down those macromolecules into smaller pieces so that they can be absorbed. I want to talk lastly about water. So I want you to just pause the video and I want you to jot down maybe a few importances of water that you can think of with respect to living organisms and in particular those members of the animal kingdom. All right, so as you would have learned in our worksheet from yesterday, water makes up a good 2/3 of our body mass. We know we need it. Why do we need it? How many of the items on my list were you able to come up with? So I wrote out flushing toxins. So for example, nitrogenous wastes coming from nucleic acids and proteins. We want to be able to flush those out, and by drinking water, that helps our urinary system to do that. And that's just one example. Transporting molecules, right? We know that our blood, for example, transports very important types of cells that help us. And so they travel in a very fluid environment. And our plasma, for instance, is water and mostly. And so that it aims to help materials to travel through our body. All right. I hope you're doing okay. Lubricating joints. So I'm trying to remember if any of you took exercise science, but you may have learned about synovial fluid, right? So just there to lubricate your joints so that you don't have bone grinding against bone and so on and so forth. All right, next, forming body fluids. Okay, so I guess transporting molecules and forming body fluids, those maybe could be potentially grouped together. Regulating body temperature. Those of you that were in physics this year would have learned that water is a very high specific heat capacity, and that means that water can absorb a lot of heat without changing temperature super drastically. And so that's good because it means that our body temperature, which is, our body is mostly water, that means that our body temperature can't change very readily based on what we're exposed to. It helps to regulate or maintain a standard body temperature of around 37 degrees Celsius. So that is helpful. Okay, and also excreting waste, right? So again, flushing toxins, excreting waste, those sort of also could be grouped together as well. And so there we have it. I guess maybe they're thinking if flushing toxins could also mean like sweating, but it also comes into regulating body temperature, so a bit of overlap there. Curious to know how many of you got those on the list. I want you to do a little bit more work. If you have the time today, take a look at homework questions on page 410, numbers 4 to 8 and 11. It will just ask you to kind of apply some of these ideas, see how much of it you're able to sort of take and transfer it to a new context and make sense of. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out.